Mike, welcome to Act Dad, the Awesome Dad Show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Excited about this conversation. Finishing up lunch. I will not be chewing the whole time. I promise you.
That's fair enough. Well, I'm excited to have this conversation too. I've been watching your story unfold here over the past couple years, and your daughter is crazy cute, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. She is like her mother. She'll kill you with her looks, and she'll kill you the regular way. She's got a ton of energy, and she cuts like a knife, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Like my wife says, we didn't want a wallflower. We certainly didn't get one.
Beautiful thing. Now, how old is she now? Is she two? Just about two?
She turned 2 in late October.
Okay.
So she has made incredible leaps over the last couple of months. And she's, the old learning something new every day adage could not be more true. I mean, it's amazing to see what she picks up. A lot of it is routines, things that she's comfortable with. So if you do something one time, you realize, all right, she's going to want to do that again and again and again. It's like, okay, all right. So that's the way she learns. That's the way she remembers. That's the way she stores. So it's just fascinating to see.
Yeah, and the other thing that I found is you have to be very careful about what you do because your
Oh yeah.
kids are like little mimics. They're just going to copy whatever you do. Is there anything that you've done that she's copied that got you into a little bit of trouble with mom? Anything like that?
Um, I she was in our second bathroom, which is right by my office over here. She was in that the other day, and she was in the shower. So she likes to mimic taking a shower. So we give
Mhm.
her baths, but she likes to mimic taking a shower with no water on, and pretend she's taking the soap and kind of doing all that stuff. And she, like I said, it's a routine type thing. So she'll do it a bunch of times, which is fine if I'm in there grooming or brushing my teeth or something I need to get done. It's like, okay, cool. At least she's occupied. Just make sure she doesn't trip and fall or anything like that. And she said every time she would leave the shower, she would go, Jesus. And I'm like, where did that come from? And we can't figure out if it was one of the two of us, maybe somebody that was over here, but it was clearly like she does it at the same time that she exits the shower every time. So it must have been something that somebody said at some point right at that moment, and it locked in. So we try to keep it clean, my wife and I, and um, you know, parenthood will test your patience.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so for the first year, she wasn't speaking, so it wasn't coming back the stuff that's flying out of your mouth, but now it will. So we've I've wanted to show more patience over the course of my entire life. So now it's a good motivator to do that. But I will say this: it's tough because I do my work in my house, and much as I enjoy my job, and much as it is really about a sport and things that are supposed to be fun, it can be stressful. So you've got to try to compartmentalize as much as you can because something could happen while I'm watching her or while she's nearby, and you don't want to register things with her that you're really not trying to teach her. So that's a unique challenge for me being a guy that works from home.
And working with the NFL, I mean, obviously there's ups and downs as far as being busy during the year, but there are
Mhm.
times where you've got to be on like all the time. Do you find it challenging to separate your work life with your family life? Is that something that's difficult to kind of separate?
It is, and it's tough because my colleagues have older kids, or maybe don't have kids at all, so they're cranking and grinding on news at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. We have a nanny who comes over. She's here from 10 to 5:30 every day. Um, and once she gets here, it's great. But by that point, it's 10 o'clock,
Right.
and a lot of people have been working. I almost feel like a West Coast reporter because I'm getting that late start, whereas a lot of my other guys are getting an early start. So that's tough. And I try not to sit there. I try to give that time to her. I don't want to
Mhm.
sit there and be on my phone the whole time. I want to be sure I'm engaging with her because I don't want to teach her that that's the way that people interact. I also don't want to teach her that people that are around her aren't going to give her full attention because I want her to be able to do that to other people as well. So and when my nanny arrives at 10 o'clock, she's got her undivided attention, which is great. So it's really not a lot to ask of me to do that for a couple of hours every morning, particularly because we're not going to get these years back,
Right.
and it's not like when she's 6, 7, 8, 9, and she's going to school, that I'll have to continue to do that at that hour of the day. So it's been a challenge. It's been an adjustment, but all good.
It's super important that we're present in the moment because it can be so easy to be caught up with, well, I'm just going to handle this and this and this. Then
Hmm.
before you know it, your kid is 13 and doesn't even want to talk to you anymore. Right. So it's
Yeah,
like, you just kind of want to hold on to those moments.
yeah.
One of the challenges that I have is I work both in an office and I work from home
Hmm.
is when I'm at home, it's really hard for me to separate myself from I'm working right now to it's playtime. Does
Yeah,
your daughter, she like knocking on the door to like come see daddy and that type of thing? And how does that
yeah.
play out?
Well, she doesn't know. I mean, that's the hard part, is that she doesn't really know. And this office that I'm in, pardon me while I send a business text as I'm talking to you. I'm sorry, I wouldn't do that to my daughter
It's all
as
right.
much as
I'm not as
possible.
important as your daughter.
So what's hard is this office. We bought this house recently, and you can't see off camera here, and I don't want to, because I got it perfectly locked in here. It was an open room, and to close it off, we didn't want to put drywall because it's a tight walkway here, tight hallway, and it really would have made it look closed off. So I said, look, I got to close this off. What if I put glass? It would be
Mm.
great. Well, the problem is you can see through glass. So she comes in, and she'll stand on the other side of the glass, and she's been really good. But here I am trying to get stuff done and work. I can't disappear from her. So, it's probably in a lot of ways unfair to her because, like I said, she doesn't know, but she's been really good about it. She understands, and I'll let her in here from time to time. And she likes to see the camera on the other side here with the return feed, and she'll say, "I want to see football. I want to see football." That means I want to come in here and look at the monitor. She'll
Right.
sit here, and a lot of times, if the camera is hot, they'll see her at our offices in LA, and not just the studio. I mean, the entire office. I get texts from people. I'm like, I didn't know you had access to all the cameras at your day. Yeah, we see all the home cams that everybody's got. So they love seeing her. They love taking pictures of her. They she entertains them. She figured out at some point that she can wave, and then she'll see herself waving back. So I like to make her think that this is dad's work area, but I also want her to be a part of it and understand
Yeah.
that, this is something that um, everybody kind of takes a part in. My wife comes with me on work trips sometimes, and we throw them on camera. My daughter's been on camera before. My wife has been on camera. Whenever we can work them in, it's anytime you can incorporate them and get them to understand that we're all kind of doing this together is a great thing.
I'm with you 100% on that, especially if you're in a job that requires you to travel a lot. Just trying to keep your kids as involved in the
Mhm.
process as possible is definitely a big deal. So you've got this little girl here. When you heard that you're having a little girl, what were the thoughts that went through your mind, Mike? Were you like, oh no, I don't know anything about women, or what am I going to do? What was your initial reaction?
I see when from the minute my wife was pregnant, we knew. I said, we're gonna have a little girl. She's gonna be just like you. I said, which is great because you'll get to see yourself from the outside. Uh, and I said, I'm sure she's gonna be a handful and she's gonna drive you nuts. She's gonna drive me nuts. I said, but someday you'll probably say, is this what I'm like? And I'll say, yes. And you'll say, I'm sorry. And I'll say, okay, it was all worth it. So she has been listen, I think she got her mother's uh what did I say? I tell her she got your impatience because my wife is very impatient, and she got her dad's temper because I've got from time to time I can have a temper and just freak out over the stupidest stuff, which is interesting to see her. Like, I try and help her put a lid on a bottle, and she doesn't want any help. And I say, well, let me help you. You're going to spill it, and of course the milk spills, and then I get upset and I say, okay, well, here, Daddy can do it for you. And then she freaks out because she wanted to do it by herself. And I go, oh, okay, all right, really not very rational, is it? So the, the kids will teach you things about yourself and get you to learn things about yourself. So I've seen that. But back to your original question, which was, did I know how to deal with? No, we had my family when I grew up. We always had kids around. We always had babies. It seemed like my mother was the oldest of her siblings, so we had all our cousins came after that. And then once they were done, we had neighbors that we're close with, they had babies. And then after that, it was time for my sister to have her kids. So we always had babies around. So I always knew how to kind of deal with them. Taking care of them is a little bit different, but I think that helped me from the sense of, knowing how to at least communicate with them and start to establish a connection with kids at that age. I never changed a diaper of all those years though. So,
Right.
it's been learning on the job in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And like you said, you learn a lot about yourself. You go into fatherhood thinking I'm going to be teaching my kid how to do everything, but you end up just learning more about yourself and
Yeah.
what's really, I think, important to you as a human being once you're trying to teach them. It's kind of remarkable how that happens.
Yeah.
So speaking of incorporating your kids into your life, have you gotten your daughter to any football games? Are you getting her invested or excited about professional sports?
Listen, she loves football and she loves sports, and she's got a lot of that energy. And it's great to see that she likes to burn it with sports. She's not been to a game yet, but she's been to the studio with me multiple times. Like I said, she's always in the office. She's got little football books that she reads. She loves to play football upstairs. Her bedroom is on one end of the hallway. Ours is on the other end. And I don't really know how it started. Oh, I know how it started. No, I know how it started. One day I put my phone up on the dresser, and she was sitting in the bed, our bed all unmade, and so I left the room, and I threw the football under the bed, and then I dove to get the football, and she laughed, and it was funny. And I sent the video to a bunch of people. I'm like, here's what you do again up until the hours of hour of 10 a.m. when you're trying to pass the time, you're trying to wait for the nanny to get here and entertain the kid at the same time.
Right.
So I did that, and I made the video and I sent it out. Everybody was like, "Oh, it was a great video." Well, now that became a game, and Carmen now wants you to. She'll say, "I want to play football in the bed." So I take her, I put her up in the bed, and she'll say, "Okay, bye." And okay, bye means leave the room and go do what you did before. And so I'll throw the ball, and then I'll jump in, and and now we started the other day. She'll say, "I want to do tackle." Because I tackled her one time, and I
Right.
knocked the ball out. So now that's a game. I tackle her into the pillows, obviously softly, to make sure she's okay. And my wife heard it because my wife is away this week, so I'm taking care of her. So she was FaceTiming, and we were in the middle of playing, and she said, "I want to do tackle," and my wife had not heard that yet, so she thought that was hysterical. So she loves the physical activity. I think that's going to be a major thing for her as she grows, to learn to burn this energy, because she's definitely got a ton of it. We have a backyard now where we moved. We didn't have one in our previous apartment. So now we've got a huge backyard. Well, huge for the town that we're in. Not quite a suburban backyard with a riding mower. But we've got decent size for the town that we're in. And we played soccer back there, and she loved playing soccer. So I'm really hopeful that this energy and passion continues, because I had it as a kid and I can see it in her.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm very, very passionate about team sports. I just think
Mhm.
there's a lot of value that kids can learn. And I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and I grew up, I loved football. I played football. Football's not really a female sport, right? So is soccer something that you've started enrolling her in? Or are you trying to teach her the basics? Is soccer going to be something that you kind of push her in that direction?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I think about it all the time. I don't want to sit here and limit her and say, "Oh, you're not going to be able to play football," because first of all, she can. I mean,
Right.
girls can play tackle football. We'll see. My wife and I'll have that conversation about what we want to do in that department. Um, but I don't want to. I don't want her growing up with any of those limits in her mind that she thinks she can't do something.
Yeah.
So I'll fuel her passion for it, and see where it goes, and see how invested and how much she likes it, and if she wants to play some soccer too. I mean, I'd like her to try out different sports. I do think, just from a football standpoint, having seen kids that grow up and they're playing the game, that a lot of times you can learn things that are valuable in football from a physical standpoint by playing other sports first. A lot of the coordination, a lot of the footwork. So boy, girl, doesn't matter to me. I would definitely encourage any and all sports, not just from the team aspect as far as the development with interpersonal skills, but also the physical skills.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more there. I think that's something that opens up a lot too. When you have a little girl, you want them to experience everything. Same with little boys too. But um, just letting them taste and try as many things as possible. I interviewed Jordan Palmer a few months ago, and he had the idea that, hey, I want my kids to find out what they're best at earlier than everyone else. I thought that was a good mentality, trying different things.
There's no question, and variety, when it comes to sports and figuring out what you're good at and what really drives you, what you're passionate about. She loves music too. She loves to listen to music. She loves to dance along to the music. My mother-in-law bought her a little electric guitar, not an electric guitar, but the toy electric guitar that she's playing with for Christmas that she loves. The thing, if you hit a button, it'll give you the applause, and she loves the applause. She'll start clapping herself, and she's learning all these little things and all the things that she's going to be passionate about or love to do. So it's going to be interesting to see what really takes, what really she holds on to as the years go on, and what we can share together. Because my wife is not into sports. My father-in-law, there he is. What's up, Ed? He listen. Give me like 5 minutes for him. We could talk about him. He loves that little girl. Loves the little girl. So does my mother-in-law. So does my parents. But he's nearby, so he's here every single day. Where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought.
Well, I think you were going on about how grandparents are always buying presents that make lots of
Yeah,
noise.
that's it, exactly right. My mother-in-law bought her a guitar, so she loves that. It'll be interesting to see as she grows what she remains interested in. Oh, that's right. I was saying what we can share together, because my wife, she's not into sports. My father-in-law's not into sports. My mother-in-law's not into sports. Really, my father isn't. My mother is, but she lives in Philly. My brother and my sister are. They live in Philly as well. That's where I grew up. My wife's sister moved to Spain, so I don't have a lot of people around me that are passionate I can watch a game with. So I'm hopeful that Carmen will be that person for me as she continues to grow.
I think she will. I have a feeling that she will be. And the fact that you're in the business, you have access to awesome players and probably special seats. I think that's another thing that makes it really real for kids is you can get them in person at an event. It's a little bit different than just seeing something on TV with the little guys running around.
Well, but it's my wife said this. She's like, a lot of things for her are going to seem normal that a lot of other kids don't experience,
Yeah.
which I don't know how to handle that. I don't know. Be interesting to see, and maybe I'll talk to some people about that. I don't want her. It's fine. I want her to see that world and to see that environment, but I don't want her to at any point think that she can look down on somebody because, well, we're,
Yeah.
that my dad is cool and I hang out with all cool and famous people and yada 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 whatever. I certainly do not want that. But I want her to know that there are things out there that you can experience and people that you can meet and lessons that you can learn, and people that you can lean on at times where you might be able to get access to some advice that might help you as you get along the way.
That's profound. Let's lean into that a little bit more. We're
Mhm.
talking about giving our kids the skills to function in the world because granted the experience that they have at home is going to change over time. What
Mhm.
is one key skill that you really want to make sure that you instill in her so that she can be a successful human being over the course of her life? What's that
Yeah,
one skill?
um, I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, God, it's escaping me right now. Not
Confidence?
No, not confidence. It's resilience. Resilience. That's the word.
Mm,
Boy, for a guy who speaks on TV, I'm having trouble coming up with words today and remembering what I'm talking about. It's resilience. Because things aren't going to go your way, and I think that's one of the things you talked about earlier. You want to learn from your kids, or maybe instill things in them that you want to see in yourself. Just a little bit of resiliency to be able to realize that when things go wrong, don't get discouraged,
mm.
don't pout, don't throw a tantrum, work hard to improve it, or do it better the next time. I think that's something that it took me a while to probably learn as I went along in life. and probably not till I got into my professional career. I would say one of the things that probably, and I don't sit here say, oh, I wish I had a better athletic career, but I wish I could take the resiliency that I learned by being in a extremely competitive business and apply that to my previous athletic career. It'd be interesting to see how that would have been different for me. So I think it's a valuable skill that I feel like I could have learned back then and maybe honed a little bit earlier in my life. And I'd like to see her with that. Now, already, I mean, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, but yeah, she's 2, and I mentioned the tantrum earlier. Sometimes when things don't go her way, she goes into those crying fits, and she was trying to, the other day we were doing the football game, she was trying to climb up on the bed by herself. Well, the covers were sliding, so I was trying to just hold them down for her, so that she could get some traction. I wasn't even lifting her up or anything, and she saw me trying to help her, and Daddy, get away. Well, when she was climbing, the sheets kept moving, and she couldn't really
Right.
get a grip, and she threw a fit, and I don't know if I'm talking to a wall. I don't know if it's too early, but I'm saying to her, you got to get up. You got to try it again. Don't get discouraged. Don't throw a fit. And I'm trying already to instill these lessons that I really hope to instill later on. And she did get up. She did try it again. She somehow got the sheets to say, I think I may have thrown a foot up on the side where she couldn't see it, just to give her a little bit of traction to get her up on the bed. And I just, that was a mini version of, hey, what's going to happen when this is a biology test, or God forbid a guy breaking her heart someday. Not God forbid, we
Mm,
know it's going to happen, but just I don't know what the heck I would even say in that moment. I was talking
right.
to a dad recently who's got a 20-something-year-old guy we know pretty well, and his daughter was just heartbroken. The girl that the boy that she had um, uh, been with for years, since like it may have even been before high school. They broke up, and this girl was devastated. And every time we saw her, you could see she was just a wreck. And my wife was saying, "I know, I've been there. She'll get through it. Yada yada yada, all these things." Well, we started talking to him one day, and she says, "Well, she and her boyfriend are going away." And then we said, "Whoa, wait, boyfriend? What boyfriend?" We thought some new guy. He says, "No, we're back together." So I kind of said to him, you know, this is probably way too early for me to ask you this. And I said, don't answer if you don't want to, but what do you tell your, like, what did you tell her? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of advice can you give her? And he said, well, it depends on the guy. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, we really like this kid and we kind of wanted him to be around. And I said, okay, I understand that. But he said, it's just, you just, all you can do is just try to instill confidence in her, and build her up and let her know she's valuable and all these things. And there's no blueprint for that kind of stuff, but that's one of those things that, like, you need resiliency, and sometimes they're just
Yeah.
going to have to go through it to learn it. So that's a long answer to the one quality that if I picked out of any of them, I want to instill in her.
I love that answer. And resiliency is not something that I hear often, but it is incredibly, incredibly important, especially in the day where you can just get bombarded from all these angles with negativity. So being
Yeah.
able to be resilient and bounce that off is really important. To
Mhm.
go back to your point on how do you talk to your kid? That's, man, that's terrifying to me as a father when my daughter goes out and starts dating and meeting
Yeah.
guys. Like, that's the last thing you want, daughter break her heart. But at the same time, if you step in too assertively, then your kid's going to shut down and want to back
Yeah.
off. And this was another interesting conversation I had with Trent Dilfer a month ago,
Hmm.
and he laid out some really great advice. He said that he has a hat that he wears when he's in his coaching mode, and he
Hmm.
only puts the coach mode hat on when his daughter asks him, when his kids ask him. I was like, that's kind of smart, because as a father, you always want to fix everything, but you also want to let them learn on their own too. So I thought that was interesting thing he laid
Yeah.
out. So maybe something to think
Yeah.
about when she eventually starts dating in 40, 50 years.
There's no, that's we got small battles going on here. That feels like an entire war, like a whole thing that you're just gonna have to deal. It's just gonna be a portion of your life where, because I mean, young love, and it's gonna feel like the end of the world for her, and the best thing you can do is let her know that it's not.
Yeah.
And really, I would say in the next couple of years, my wife and I have already talked about this. I take her on dates, and let her know what it's supposed to be like, and let her know, why it's happening, and why a guy would act a certain way if he's interested in her, and if he doesn't meet a certain bar that your dad helped set for you in your mind, he's
Mm,
out of here.
mm. That's it, man. That's it. You just hit the nail on the head. That's the biggest thing you can do for your
Mhm.
2 or 3 or 4-year-old child is show them how a man is supposed to act. You have to be that role model because that's what girls typically end up seeking out, someone that's like their dad. You got to
And
set the right example.
before I even get there, I would say that my wife helped instill those lessons in me, because she had such a high bar for what she expected from me,
Mm,
that I know she's going to want me to pass on to our daughter. So it's
yeah.
not a one person job. It's not just dad to daughter. It's my mom to dad to daughter, particularly in our case. And I certainly haven't forgotten those lessons, because I'll get reminded if I'm not on the right path with her still.
100%, man. My wife completely elevated me, and you've got to be open to it.
Yeah.
You got to be
Oh yeah.
open to it. But she helped elevate me tremendously. So Jojo, I love you. Thank you. Before we get to the rapid fire portion of the show, Mike, I just want to ask you, where can people find you? What's exciting to you? Where do you want people to go to see more about Mike Garofalo?
Yeah, well, it's my the Twitter account is mostly a news function for me that I have. I've got a Facebook page that I really kind of keep tight. I mean, I'll accept friend requests, but I've got different lists, and if I don't want some certain people to see certain things or whatever, not because it's anything controversial, but just there are some things that should be only for a small
Private.
group of people. So
Yeah.
I've got different lists of different things. Um, Instagram, I've kind of blended it all. I've used that as kind of a, hey, here's not really so much news, although I'll mix a little bit of that in there, but here's a little bit of me on the job, here's a little bit of me at home, here's a little bit of me with the wife, here's my family, just a little bit of a peek into everything, and kind of blended it all. Really not by design. That was the last social account that I had opened, and I said, well, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to distinguish this from some of the other accounts that I have? Because if it's not unique, it's gone. So I really enjoy, giving a little peek behind the curtain of different areas on Instagram. So I think it's just my name with a dot in there. You'll find me. Instagram makes it easy to find me. But if you
Yeah.
want football news, we'll take more Twitter followers. We'll always do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was looking over your Twitter feed and it was like every hour, every 30 minutes, like bam, this happened, like breaking news. The last couple of days have been insane too when it comes to all the
Yeah.
coaching changes and everything that's happening in the league.
It's
So
coaching, it's playoffs. We're already talking NFL draft. So this is a busy time of year, and this month can be challenging. My wife always has a work trip, which she's on now, and I've got the Senior Bowl coming up, which is going to be 4 days in Mobile, Alabama, followed by the Super Bowl, and then mix in some trips for to cover playoff games. So we're kind of bouncing all over the place, and in the meantime, we've got to take care of our daughter too, which is interesting. I was on call for breaking news yesterday from 7 to 10 a.m.
nice.
and 9:55, my nanny had just walked in. The news of Matt Rule being the head coach of the Panthers had just
Right.
broken, and it was like 5 minutes to go. And Ian Rappaport, my colleague, was already set up to be in front of the camera for his shift. So I was like, whew, because if that had happened at 7:30, I would have had to figure something out. And in our apartment, it was easier because everything was on the same level. So I could just kind of throw her in the next room, TV on,
Right.
throw a video on there. That would occupy her. Although she did walk in one time. She walked in on a Saturday of the draft, and there's on my computer, or my on my camera, there's a camera up top and then the monitor that I was talking about. And she walked in the room as I was talking, and she's pointing to the monitor going, "It's daddy, it's daddy, it's daddy." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm right here behind you." And I'm kind of on live TV. And that was fun. Sometimes you just gotta roll with it. And on that one, I probably should have just grabbed her and pulled her up and said, "Sit here while I finish the news," and put her on camera.
Yeah.
Um,
You might as well
but
just accept it. I don't know if you've seen that viral video where the guy
yeah, I've seen it.
newscaster, the kid wanders in and then mom drags her out.
I've seen it. I have seen it. And I don't know if we ever did that where I picked her up and threw her up here, but it's a challenge. It is a
Yeah.
challenge to, and as she gets older, it's going to be like, "Hey, daddy's working. I'll be right back." go sit here and do whatever you want to do
Right.
with your activity, and you'll feel comfortable doing that. But when she's only 2 years and a couple of months, you can't really walk away.
Right. Right. Well, I think you're handling it in the best way that you can. I think that's really smart. And I'm looking forward to seeing her on TV with you one day soon.
Yeah,
So
it's
quick
coming.
couple rapid fire questions here for you, Mike.
Okay.
What is your favorite book or story to tell your daughter?
Oh, so there's a book called The Wonderful Things You'll Be. Is that what it's called? I forget the author. It's The Wonderful Things You'll Be. And
I
it
think
just,
I know that one.
yeah. Let me find, because I should name the author if anybody
It's
wants to
with a
give it
little
a.
girl and she's got balloons. She's holding on to
Yeah,
balloons. The
yeah,
wonderful
and it
things you will
is,
be. Yeah.
and it is. I'm just thinking about it. I'm just getting like, I almost can't finish the book because it gets me every time. And it's talking about, everything that you could be when you're growing up. And Emily Winfield Martin, that's her name. And like we talked about earlier, just kind of, whatever you want to be, whatever you love, whatever you enjoy, you should follow that, and you can be that, and you can be anything you want to be. So I love reading it to her. She doesn't quite hang in there for the whole book. Which is I kind of sit there. I'm like, daddy loves this book so much and he wants to read it, and you don't even you don't even pay attention the whole way through. But
My daughter likes that page in the back that it folds out and then they have all the the little characters. She likes that. She wants to point and tell me what
right,
one is.
right, yeah. So, but sometimes I think these books are just as much for the parents as they are for the kids. So I'm okay that she's not all the way into it yet. Hopefully by the time she gets a little bit older, she'll love it. She loves Go Dog Go. She'll just repeat that one the whole time. It's just, and it is really cool to see the rhythm of the books and the way that they're written, and the kind of the melody to the books, and what registers with her. Almost musical. That's why I think that, like I said, she's got that passion for music. I'm sorry, that wasn't rapid fire.
Yeah, but it's still good. I love that book. Great one. Favorite city to visit, Mike?
All right, this will be right. Philly. That's where my family is, and she's actually, so she hates the car. She's hated it from the time she was an infant. We were like, do we get a defective one? We need to return this. They're usually pretty good in the car. So going there used to be just a nightmare. She'd scream the whole time. She's gotten better. She's also gotten better being around her cousins because we're Italian. It's a loud environment. They're up in your face. She didn't love it the first couple times. That hurt me because, this is your family and this is what you're going to be around. She's gotten a lot better and starting to love going down there, which is great.
It's awesome. Philly, beautiful city. My brother lives there.
Mm-hmm.
Brotherly love. Great. Who you got for the Super Bowl this year? Who do you like? Are you allowed to say?
No, yeah, sure. I'm allowed to say. I would say watch the Kansas City Chiefs are my, I don't want to call them a sleeper. I mean, they did get a bye, and they're the 2 seed in the AFC, but they're the one team that's beaten the Ravens. And their defense has played better as the season goes on. So they've got the weapons on offense. I would say give me the Kansas City Chiefs. And then I didn't really necessarily fully believe it when I said it, but we did a segment with who's going to come out of the NFC on the show before the playoffs. And I picked the Vikings because I said, you know what? It's wide open. It didn't used to be that heard of that a 4 or 5 or even 6 seed, the Giants were a 6 seed, and they went to the Super Bowl. Didn't used to be that unheard of. So I picked the Vikings, and I said, give me the Vikings. They could make a run here. One down. So
Big win.
Almost, yeah. Now I didn't have the full conviction, but if and when it happens, you bet I'm going to be like, I totally knew it. I totally had the full conviction.
We'll just take that little clip where you said Vikings, but Kirk Cousins showed a little something there, so we'll see. We'll see. They're in it to win it. Last question.
Another good dad, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. I haven't spoken to Kirk yet, but Kirk, you're on my radar, brother. I'm looking for you. Last question for you here, Mike. You have a billboard that can reach millions and millions of people. What are you putting on that billboard?
I have a billboard. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a billboard.
Billboard message.
Related to being a dad.
Could be anything. Your cause, your team.
We're doing a dad podcast here, so we're related to being a dad. I would say craziest ride of your life, but definitely worth the trip.
Love it. That's awesome. Mike, thank you so much for being on the show, the Act That Awesome Dad show. Really appreciate it. Just Keep up the great work, man. I can tell you're on to something special.
You got it, man. I appreciate it. And sometimes dads you got to take a step back, because sometimes you're in it and you feel like you're just trying to survive day to day. And sometimes take a step back. And for those of you out there who know dads, especially of young ones, I think the best thing you can tell them is, hey, you're doing a good job. That's the best thing you can do to brighten their day.
I love that. Dads definitely don't always get seen for the amount of effort they put in. Mom's the same, but
yep,
it's an important role. For
sure.
Stakes are high. Thank you, Mike.
You got it.